Good afternoon, everyone. Boy, I am delighted to be here, and what a wonderful occasion we have to celebrate. Mr. Honorable Vice President, Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Senators and members of the Liberian Legislature, Ambassador Sulente, distinguished guests, and I also want to specifically recognize the MCC board member, Mort Halprin. We are thrilled to be here to celebrate a new chapter in the long-standing relationship and partnership between the United States and Liberia. We are grateful to be joined today by so many distinguished guests, members of the Liberian government, and many good friends and partners of Liberia and MCC. I particularly want to thank Ambassador Malik, who has been a tireless and personal champion for this partnership between our two countries and has really brought us here today. As everyone knows, the United States and Liberia share a very special bond. For many years, our governments have worked successfully to promote peace, security, and democracy in Liberia, to strengthen educational opportunities for the Liberian people, and to solidify sustainable economic growth. And during the trying times of the past year and a half, we worked effectively together to combat Ebola and bring the number of new cases down to 0. So today, we are celebrating a new partnership focused on the future. The Millennium Challenge Compact's Corporation's $257 million grant, or compact as we call them, represents a key component of the U.S. government's effort to support recovery in the region and promote long-term prosperity. This compact signals to the world that Liberia is open for business and that the United States stands shoulder to shoulder with Liberia in addressing its fundamental infrastructure needs to support a growing and thriving economy. Our compact and our work will focus on two key sectors, roads and power. By investing in road maintenance systems and reducing the high cost of transportation, we will further connect markets and catalyze business development. And by investing in the Mount Coffee hydroelectric plant, MCC will provide an additional 88 megawatts of clean, renewable, and most importantly, affordable power. As we know, Liberia currently has among the world's highest electricity costs, and an objective of this investment is to drive those prices down. So what does this mean for Liberians? Well, power empowers. It means students can study at night. It means hospitals can treat patients with better equipment. It means streetlights can make it safer for women and girls to go out at night, and it means businesses can grow and thrive. MCC is a proud contributor to President Obama's Power Africa effort, and we are particularly excited that our investment will expand Power Africa's engagement in Liberia and complement the U.S. government's strong work in the country and on the continent. At the same time, we know it will take more than hard infrastructure to modernize Liberia's power sector. So together, we are not just tackling the infrastructure needs, but we are partnering with the government to advance Liberia's government's reforms in order to support a more sustainable power sector that is ready and attractive for private investment. Of course, today's celebration is only the beginning. Much of the heavy lifting begins now, and I know that we have members of both of our teams here which will be undertaking that in the coming days and weeks. But I am confident, and certainly I have had the privilege of meeting and speaking on many occasions with President Sirleaf, and we agree that we can together accelerate Liberia's path of growth and catalyze additional private investment. So let me congratulate everyone who is here today and in Liberia who helped bring this partnership to fruition. I want to thank you all in advance for your commitment and for the important work that is yet to come. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Howell. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Vice President Boakai, Minister Konneh, Your Excellencies, and honored guests, thank you for being here today on this great day. It's my great pleasure to celebrate the signing of the $257 million compact between the government of Liberia and the Millennium Challenge Corporation. This compact strengthens our partnership with a country that has shown extraordinary resilience in the face of enormous challenges and exemplary commitment to advancing economic freedom, governing justly, and investing in future opportunity for its people. Achieving eligibility as an MCC compact country is never a simple task, and it is especially challenging when a country is struggling to emerge from conflict and an unprecedented health challenge, to find its footing in the community of nations with bright prospects for the future. The tragic Ebola outbreak claimed numerous lives and reversed years of hard-earned progress. As the largest bilateral donor to the Ebola response, the United States is proud to have supported response efforts across the region. Even in the face of the Ebola crisis, Liberia never wavered on its path to good governance, and it crossed the threshold of MCC eligibility. And as Liberia moves beyond Ebola, we will continue to support its efforts to rebuild public trust in the health sector, to expand the cadre of skilled health professionals, and to ensure the safety of women, orphans, and other vulnerable people. The next step for our partnership with Liberia is to focus on creating conditions to eliminate poverty through long-term economic growth, and this is where MCC comes in. Access to energy is a fundamental condition for empowering Liberia's citizens to build a 21st century economy. And this compact will support important enhancements in Liberia's energy infrastructure, as well as improvements in Liberia's institutional capacity to guarantee access to energy. This compact comes in an especially historic moment, both in the post-Ebola recovery phase and on the heels of the groundbreaking global agreement on a new framework for sustainable development. Liberia has been a global leader in supporting the new Sustainable Development Goals, and we thank President Sirleaf and her team for their tireless work on the post-2015 high-level panel, which set the stage for this important agreement. This compact marks a new page in Liberia's recovery, its return to the path of growth and prosperity, and our global work together towards sustainable development. Vice President Boakai, I would like to thank you for your leadership as the lead architect of Liberia's economic policy. Your nation's trajectory is a testament to the dedication and resilience of the Liberian people to secure a brighter future. It's an honor to welcome you and your delegation to the State Department today, so allow me now to introduce Vice President Boakai. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Todd, for the kind invitation. We'd like to bring you greeting from our president, who could not be here, but I'm here to represent him, the Honorable Dana J, Todd, Haskell, Ambassador Malek, Ambassador Slonte, our legislatures, and members of the Liberian delegation. I want to thank you for being here. For all, this is a very pleasant moment to be here in Washington today. I want to thank all of you, including our Finance Minister, Konneh, who have been working very hard with you. We're honored to be here today for the signing of this compact. For us in Liberia, this is very significant. not only because of the relationship between us and the United States, but it shows that we are making effort in governance. We want to underscore that because for Liberia, it is our job to reflect the principles of democracy, which has been a long relationship with the United States government. We want to say this is a milestone, and we want to say today that it will be a long time go towards our development. Liberia has been lagging back on development because of our experience during the war, the shortage of power and road. So we believe that this will move Liberia into another area of development. And this is because the United States and Liberia had always stood together. And we want to thank you for coming to our rescue during Ebola. Your leadership also helped to draw other countries and other communities to work with us. We appreciate all that you're doing, and I want to say to you that our president sends our sincere greetings. Let me assure you that Liberia will continue to move in the area of development, commitment to good governance, and a leadership that has always been accustomed to that of Liberia. On behalf of our president, let me say thank you again, and we want to say that $257 million is a substantial amount to be able to move us, and we can assure you that this money will be used for the purpose intended, and that Liberia again will continue to lead development and commitment to good governance in Africa. Thank you very much. We have got this. Let me now ask Mr. Konneh to take the podium.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President, members of the Liberian legislature here present, particularly the chairpersons of the two Ways and Means Committee on the House and Senate side, fellow cabinet ministers and other officials of government, members of the Liberian delegation, Todd, Haskell, Dana Hyde, Ambassador Malek, members of the MCC board here present, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Mr. Vice President, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. Today, like many of my fellow Liberian citizens, I stand here ever grateful to the government and people of the United States of America for assisting Liberia with a significant grant in the amount of $257 million through the Millennium Challenge Corporation, the MCC. This grant comes at a time when our country is recovering from the crisis of war and disease, leaving us with monumental challenges in meeting our economic recovery and human development goals. Liberia has now enjoyed over 10 years of peace since the end of the Civil War, during which time we successfully completed our heavily indebted Poor Country Initiative program that resulted to debt cancellation, a big debt overhang of more than $5 billion, which also, that cancellation also increased our fiscal space to deliver incrementally for our people. Similarly, we were able to reach an average growth rate of around 7% year on year for the first time over several years, enabling us to jumpstart the implementation of our recovery and reconstruction agenda that focused on enhancing security, justice, and the rule of law, economic transformation, human development, education, health and social protection, governance and public institutions, and other cross-cutting issues such as unemployment, women, children, among others. Now, looking back to where Liberia has come from, Liberians can confidently assert that our country now has a real chance to gain low middle income status in about a decade and a half. There is plenty of good news about post-conflict Liberia. I want to say this to our American friends. One good news is what we are celebrating in this room today. But in order to appreciate this good news, we must first take a step back and reflect on where Liberia was 10 years ago, when President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf first assumed office following democratic elections. We all might be familiar with Liberia's recovery story, but it is also instructive to remind ourselves that President Sirleaf did not only inherit a broken country, she inherited a nation deemed a pariah and failed state. From the inception of the brutal civil war that left an estimated 270,000 persons dead, that also created hundreds of thousands of refugees and internally displaced persons, and brought the economy to a complete collapse, Liberia was rooted beneath ground zero. That's the Liberian story. Together with economic collapse, the conflict also destroyed basic institutions of governance, as well as inflicted significant human, physical infrastructure, and social capital losses. With total economic collapse, the vast majority of the population was left poor and destitute. As peace was restored in 2003, thanks largely to our African neighbors, the United States and other countries around the world, and with the subsequent conduct of true multi-party democratic elections in 2005, Liberia began the onerous journey to recovery, launching its first post-war poverty reduction strategy. In 2012, building on the success of that poverty reduction strategy, the government took a long-term vision to its development planning with the launching of Liberia Rising 2030 vision, a vision that aspires to make Liberia a lower middle income country by the year 2030. Together with the national vision, a 5-year development strategy, the Agenda for Transformation, was simultaneously inaugurated to address the structural issues impeding growth and economic development in Liberia. As a result, Liberia registered 2 years of impressive sustained growth, averaging 8.7% between 2012 and 2014 until Ebola struck. Sadly, in 2014, our country was struck by an unexpected and unwelcome tragedy, the Ebola virus disease outbreak, which wreaked havoc on most of the achievements of the preceding period, threatening to reverse some of the progress achieved as a result of economic stability. Faced with a serious threat to our national existence, we were constrained to declare a state of national emergency and harnessed all of our resources and efforts to fight an unfamiliar enemy for which we were totally unprepared. Thanks to God Almighty, the leadership of President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the Vice President, and other national leaders, the resilience of the Liberian people added to that, and the goodwill of the international community, including the United States of America, for a collective fight against Ebola. With massive resources deployed to Liberia, we were able to arrest the crisis, helping us today to enjoy Ebola-free certification. But even though the battle might have been won, the war still rages on, as the scars left by Ebola still remains visible and must be treated. As if we haven't had enough of a setback as a country, we are now still feeling the pinch of a global economic downturn, which has affected two of Liberia's primary commodities, iron ore and rubber. Together with the commodity price shock that has affected these two major foreign exchange earners for our country and the backbone of the Liberian economy, we are still struggling to recover and reposition our country on the path of a pre-Ebola growth and development levels. Nonetheless, all is not lost. The good news is that we are a resilient people and have demonstrated that in the face of insurmountable adversities, we are determined to address these challenges. Even in the midst of hardship, we are working towards moving the economy in the direction towards achieving inclusive growth with the support of partners like the United States. The challenge, however, is that our recovery is fueled by the same amount of goods and services as in 1989, with fewer workers, mostly young people. Liberia's population increased by approximately 1.3 million between 1984 and 2008, a 65% jump over the 1984 census figure. With this increase in population and no productive activities during the war years, the number of Liberians who are unemployed roughly quadrupled. Though that number is declining today, it is doing so very slowly. Majority of the new jobs created in the economy require skills that most Liberians still lack. This is why today's MCC grant is a game changer for Liberia. The planned investment in electricity and roads will significantly contribute to our development agenda, thus helping us achieve our central goal of poverty reduction. Energy is fundamental to our growth strategy, and together with roads, is critical to our goal of unlocking the growth potential of our economy. Many efforts to encourage private investment in the light manufacturing sector have been frustrated by the lack of electricity and good roads. Farmers are struggling to make it. This grant is coming at the right time. Your intervention will go a long way in encouraging investment, thus bringing in much needed capital, skills, and technology to Liberia. We will remain ever vigilant, Dana and our fellow and our colleagues on the MCC, in providing the kind of support and push to get the MCC going so that it is a successful program. From today on, we commit that Liberia will get a second MCC compact. At this time, I would like to really thank Dana and the MCC management and our its country team headed by Evan Freund, who have done a fantastic job in accelerating this program. Evan, I want to say a small thing about Mr. Freund. The country team lead played a key role in ensuring that Liberia's partnership with the MCC did not lapse during the challenging Ebola period. He and some members of his team traveled frequently to Liberia and did so even when we were not Ebola-free. We appreciate the sacrifice and commitment shown, and we are grateful for the partnership that we have developed. I would also like to thank the United States government's representatives on the ground in Liberia, headed by Ambassador Deborah Malak. The compact signing program would be incomplete without recognizing the contribution of the ambassador and her team on the ground and two other Americans who were in Liberia when we started this journey. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, who is not here today, and also Ambassador Pamela White. I want to say thanks to them. They were in Liberia as ambassador and mission director, respectively, when we started this journey. To my own team, I'm very proud of you for this achievement. When we first embarked on this journey, we were treading uncharted waters. But your professionalism, diligence, and commitment have made us realize this compact today. I want to also thank our cabinet colleagues, some of whom are in this room and some are still in Liberia, and our legislature, particularly the two chairpersons of the Ways and Means Committee from the Senate and House side, for their cooperation and support. Had they not cooperated with us, we probably wouldn't be here today. We thank you very much. Well done, team. But we wouldn't have done any of this had it not been the political support we received from our leaders, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Vice President Joseph Boakai. Thank you so much. To you, my fellow Liberians, today is another testament of how when we work together as a team in one government, the sky can be the limit. In closing, I wish to leave you with a quote from a famous president of the United States, John F. Kennedy, quote, "If a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few that are rich," end quote. Thank you very much.